I'll
Yeah.
start record.
Yep. Got it. Yep. Yes. So fire off.
Adhyaropa. So this general Adhyasa is the topic that I'm covering
Yeah.
along with Kavita. And Kavita, please add on as we go along. Adhyaropa or Adhyasa has been defined as Vastuni Avastu Aropa. That is superimposition of mithya object on the reality Satchit Ananda. At an individual level, the body mind sense complex is superimposed on I consciousness, creating ahankara or conceptual self. At a total level, there is superimposition of Ishwaratvam, entire Jagat, on pure consciousness, creating the sense of duality. The cause, Mula Karanam, of Adhyasa is Ajnanam or ignorance in my mind. I am Swata Siddha. I know I am, but I don't know who I am. Hence, there is Adhyasa. I can only have Adhyasa of something that is known to me. Purva Drishtam or Smriti Rupam. This Ajnanam in my mind is Anubhava Siddham. That is, I don't know Chinese is my Anubhava and not Pramana Janyam, not known through a means of knowledge. It is Sat Asadhyam Anirvachaniyam. That is, cannot be categorized as Sat or Asat. Ajnanam is not Sat because it will be negated in the light of knowledge. It has its locus in me, consciousness. Therefore, not Abhaditam Satyam. It is not Asat because I experience it. Ajnanam is Anadi, has no beginning, but has an end. This Ajnanam or ignorance has two powers, Avarna Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti, the power to conceal and the power to project, which, for example, in the snake rope, I see the snake instead of a rope because I don't know it is a rope, and hence I superimpose the snake on the rope. Now, I don't know it is a rope, probably because there is lack of light or because of my fear of a snake. So I take it as a snake instead of a rope. Now, because of this Avarna and Vikshepa Shakti of Ajnanam, at a total level, consciousness with Maya Shakti is manifested as Sarvagnya, Sarvavit, Jagat Karanam Ishvara, which is both Nimitta and Upada Karanam of the world. At an individual level, consciousness manifested is Anishvara Alpagnya and is called Pragnya. This is also explained through the theory of creation, where it is said that tanmatras have come into existence from the consciousness associated with sattva, rajas, tamas. And from the tanmatras, manas, buddhi, pancha jnanendriyas, pancha karmendriyas, pancha pranas have come into existence. And the tanmatras are then compounded through the process of panchikarnam, and the gross universe is created. The power of ignorance or ajnanam to conceal and project is also explained through the Panchakosha Prakriya, Avastatraya Prakriya, which is also used for negating the Avarnam, the same Prakriya, or negating the Adhyasa. So yeah, these are the points that we made. Kavita, you have anything to add on?
Yeah, Panchakoshas, you can explain, because our Sampradaya is Adhyaropa Apavada. We negate the superimposition, and then what remains is I, the consciousness, all pervasive, limitless consciousness. So there are different prakriyas, like Avasthatraya Prakriya, like the waker, dreamer, in deep sleep. It's throughout it's all consciousness. Consciousness is the adhisthana, and also Panchakosha. You can explain the five the five koshas, the locus of mistake which we make for us to understand at different levels. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, and anandamaya kosha. You can explain that, Nisha?
Yeah, so basically we were saying that, because of this power of adhyasa to conceal and project, through the Panchakosha Prakriya, it is explained that I will, at a Annamaya Kosha level, I'll take myself as, body. At a Pranamaya Kosha, I'll, take myself as energy, prana. At a Vijnanamaya Kosha, I will take myself as a karta, and a bhokta. Then at an Anandamaya Kosha, I take myself as the blissful self, whereas I am actually in and through, I'm the consciousness which pervades everything. And then also in the Avastatraya Prakriya, I take myself as, in the three stages of experience as a waker, or associate myself with just the waking thoughts. Or at a dream state, I, take myself as a dreamer and just the dream thoughts. And at a deep sleeper, I take myself as, the blissful self, the prajna, and the, the happiness that is associated at a deep sleep state, whereas actually I am the consciousness which is in and through turiya, which is in and through all the three states of experience.
Very good. Nicely done. Nicely done. Okay. Anyone has any questions to them? Open house. No questions.
These 5 koshas, can you please repeat 5 koshas? How do I go from Annam to Anandam?
Sashi, what exactly is your question? The question is not very clear. You are
Yeah.
asking them to repeat the whole thing or
Not, no. Not at all. It has been very clear. Only I got a little about this Panch Kosha. And that first Annamaya Kosha. Does it mean I identify myself with Annam? Then Pranamaya Kosha. Have I understood you clearly, Kavita?
Yes, so these are the superimpositions which we make at these levels. So it is for us to understand. So Annamaya Kosha is basically when I take when there is superimposition of my sthula sharira on Atman. I take myself to be this gross body, and then I say I'm only this much. I'm short. I am tall, or whatever. This is my conclusion. This is my notion about myself, which is which is a superimposition on Atman, which is nirguna. So that is Annamaya Kosha. At Pranamaya Kosha, there are 5 physiological functions, 5 vayus, Prana Vayu, Samana Vayu, Dana Vayu, etc. Those 5 Vayus are there, Prana Vayu and Vyana Vayu. And then I say that I'm hungry, I'm thirsty. These are the conclusions which I make on self, which is Adhyasa on Atman. Basically, these 5 koshas are for us to understand at what levels we make superimpositions, because basically Atma is all pervasive, limitless, but there are all sorts of conclusions of finitude, and limited. I take Atma to be limited. So these 5 koshas help us to explain at what levels we are doing this adhyaropa. So Manomaya is all my emotions. Then Vijnanamaya is basically my karta identity, because it is my buddhi, nishchayatmak buddhi, which makes me to decide to enact or not to act. And Anandamaya Kosha is basically all my experiential Ananda, which is my Bhokta identity, which is centered on my body, sense, mind complex, etc. So these are, you can't categorize actually, but these are for us to understand that at what level we make Adhyasa on Atma, which is not limited, which is non-dual. And there are all sorts of Adhyasa of duality and finitude on the Atma. So it's basically not only the self, but the whole universe, and my perception, my notions of universe is an adhyasa on the Atma. So this 5, by understanding this 5 kosha prakriya, we negate what I'm not, and what remains is that abhatitam satyam, one all pervasive consciousness, which I am, and all that is there is this consciousness. So I hope I have answered it. Shashi, are you okay with the answer?
No, I have understood. I have one more question, actually not related to your presentation.
1 second.
That
Questions to
later
them,
on
Shashi, questions to them will be limited to their presentation.
Okay, okay.
So I just wanted to add, Swamiji, I think Shashi ji will get perhaps more clarity when we talk about the Vishesha Adhyasa.
May
Because that's
occur, yes.
yeah.
Swamiji, anything else that you think we should have added on, or
No,
we
I may
have
ask a
missed?
couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Okay. That will be, if so much of theory of creation is presented, doesn't that indicate creation is real and to be taken seriously?
I take creation to be real initially, right? Because of my adhyasa. And hence it has to be explained in detail so that, I know that it has come from the same consciousness which pervades the whole universe, which pervades me, and to know that there is no difference at a total and individual level, and to help me negate the adhyasa. So that's why it is very important to explain the theory of creation, because I take it as real.
Okay, nicely done. Nicely done. Yes. Is the identification with the Panchakoshas sequential, or it can happen in any order?
It can happen in any order.
Okay.
Because one time I may identify myself with the body, one time I may identify myself with the mind, yeah, or with both, or yeah.
Fair enough, yeah. But as a life as a whole, all the 5 identifications are there.
Yeah.
Fair. Good. Any questions from anyone else? I
Actually,
think they did a pretty good job. Yeah.
Yeah. This, everything has been explained in an order, but at the same time, we have to be very clear not to get stuck in those specific, because even different texts, for example, even total ignorance, it is used sometimes as Maya Shakti. There are different terms that are used. So for our mind to not get stuck with a specific term and to understand, I think that, that's very a learning in itself.
Because different names only indicate standpoints. Avyaktaha, Maya, then Ajnanam, all these words are used to understand contextually. Important. Yes. Okay, if there are no questions, we can move on to the next one.
Yes, Swamiji. If you could please make us the co-host.
You want to share screen. Yes. So, Karthik, yes. I am making you the co-host also, so that, sorry, how is the order shifted here? Yes.
Should I come out of it?
No. There can be more than one post.
Okay.
Yep. Yes. Your co-host now.
Thank you, Swamiji. Hopefully, everybody.
Yeah, it's clear. I think everyone can see it. Yes.
Okay, great. And I would suggest that, especially if you're viewing it on an iPhone, it might be a good idea to turn it into the horizontal mode. Although I've tried to keep the fonts as big as I can.
This is fine. On a laptop screen, this is fine.
Okay, great. So
Those
thank you.
are on phone, if you keep it horizontal, it'll work better. Yes.
Yes. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Thank you, Swamiji, for providing us with the opportunity to present on special Adhyasa. And so Vijay Lakshmi ji, Nirmala and I have teamed together to look into this topic. And thanks to Nisha and Kavita for setting the stage. And like I was mentioning, Shashi ji, this might give you some clarity about the question you had. So we are going to touch upon the topic of Vishesha Adhyasa or special Adhyasa, which the author covers in chapter 3 of the text, which is the Vishesha Adhyaropa Prakarana. So the author introduces the subject matter in text 122. I'm not going to really read all of the Sanskrit.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah, so essentially, the gist of this text is that the author says that in the following text, he is going to explain the specialty of the confusion that the various philosophers have by superimposing the features of the various koshas on the Atma. That's going to be the subject matter of the next few texts. So moving on, before we get into too many details, I thought it would be a good idea to give a bird's eye view of what we're going to be looking at. So first, the author covers the Ati Prakrita, which is the identification with, for example, the sun. Then he's going to touch on the Charvaka school, which is, the people who are the here and now kind of people who identify, especially with the body, senses, prana and mind, the various koshas. Then the Purva Mimamsakas, who are the Prabhakara and the Bhatta school. Of course, the Tarkikas are also clubbed with the Prabhakaras in some of these identifications. And finally, the Buddhists, which are the Vijnanavadins and the Shunyavadins. So this is going to be what we are going to be looking at in the upcoming texts. Now, very quickly, the author has got a beautiful format. And I just thought, since the rest of the slides are based on this format, I thought I'll just let everybody know what the format will look like. So we're going to have the philosophy name and which Adhyasa is being superimposed on the Atma, the text number, then essentially the conclusion, the erroneous conclusion, the misquoting of the Shruti out of context, a faulty logic, and again a misinterpreted Anubhava. But what's very interesting is that while everything is in error, it is still able to negate the previous philosophy. So that's the funny part. It's like an error negating another error. So that's going to be the theme of the next few slides. Yeah. So now moving on, we talked about the Ati Prakrita, where the sun is, Atma. So this is a complete non-thinker, and the Adhyasa is sun is Atma, Putra Atmeti Vadati. That's what the Ati Prakrita claim themselves to be. And they give an erroneous Shruti support saying that Atma vai jayate putra, that myself is born as my son. They further supported with their faulty yukti, saying that, I have greater love for the sun than myself, therefore the sun is Atma. And the Anubhava they further give for that is that if the sun prospers, I prosper. If the sun is disturbed, I am disturbed. So these are people who are going even almost beyond the 5 koshas and identifying with the sun. That's why they're called Ati Prakrita. Moving on to the Charvakas now. So first is the body is Atma, text 124. But generally the Charvakas are the ones who are the materialistic pleasure seekers. So in this particular case, this Charvaka identifies with body is Atma. They give the Shruti Vakyam from Taittiriya Upanishad, which says that the man is the essence of food. The Yukti they give is that, which negates the previous one, saying that if your house is on fire, you're going to abandon the sun to save yourself. Therefore, the previous logic of the Ati Prakrita is dismissed. And the Anubhava for this is identifying with the body, saying, I am fat, I am thin, etc. Then the next level of identification with the Indriyas in text 125, where the Adhyasa is Indriyas or Atma. The Shruti they give is from the Chandogya Upanishad. The Yukti they give is that without the Indriyas, the body cannot function. And the Anubhava for that they gave is, I am blind, I am deaf, etc. Moving on to the next level now, they're going to the prana, identification with prana. The Adhyasa is prana is Atma. The Shruti is Anyontra Atma Pranamaya, Taittiriya Upanishad, which is saying superior to the body, or inner or superior to the body and senses is the Pranamaya Kosha. Yukti is, if my prana is weak, my senses are weakened. So they say, therefore, prana is, I'm identifying with the prana. The Anubhava for this, excuse me, this is I am hungry, I am thirsty, etc. Next school of Charvaka is mind is Atma. So Adhyasa, mind is Atma. The Shruti Vakyam, they again give from Taittiriya Upanishad saying superior to prana is Manomaya. Yukti is, they use the Shushupti Avastha and says that, they say that when the mind sleeps, from my standpoint, I am not aware of the prana. And the Anubhava they give is that I am my emotions, I am happy, I am disturbed, I am afraid, etc. Now we are going to move to the Buddhist school, which is Vijnanavadan. Now the Buddhists are Nastikas, but they again quote the Shruti just to to throw us off actually. So in the case of Vijnanavadan, one special extra call out is that the Kshanika Vijnanavada, they believe that Atma is an I sense which is created by a flow of momentary thoughts or consciousnesses, and this is what they call as the buddhi. So again, the Adhyasa here is buddhi, or more specifically, the karta is Atma. So the Shruti here they quote is for the Vijnanamaya from the Taittiriya Upanishad. The Yukti they say is that the buddhi is the karta. So without the karta, the other functions of the mind, which are treated, which they treat as the karanam, have no power. So without karta, the karanam essentially has no shakti at all. And the anubhava they give is the karta bhokta one, saying I am the doer, I am the experiencer. Now we will look at the Purva Mimamsas, the Prabhakara. Also the Tarkikas are clubbed along with them, which say the ignorance is Atma. And that's their Adhyasa. The Shruti is Anandamaya Kosha, Anyontra Anandamaya, again from Taittiriya, which is the Atma. The Yukti they give is that during sleep, the Buddhi and all the other koshas, they resolve into Ajnanam. So therefore, that is the Atma, or I'm identifying with that. The Anubhava they give for that is when you say, I am ignorant. So that's their Anubhava. But there are some very obvious problems with this which are worth highlighting, is that if I am ignorance, that means, Pramanam will never remove ignorance, and any sort of knowledge will just become information superimposed on that ignorance. Moving on to the Bhatta school, which says that the consciousness manifest in ignorance is the Atma. So that is their Adhyasa, the consciousness manifest in ignorance is Atma. They give the Shruti from the Mandukya Upanishad, Prajnana Ghana Eva Anandamaya. And the Yukti they give is that in sleep, since I'm aware of the ignorance of everything, therefore I am this consciousness or awareness that is manifest in ignorance. And the anubhava they give is ma maham na janami, I don't know myself. Now, the Shunyavadin, they're also Buddhists and Nastikas, and their Adhyasa is that the Shunya or non-existence is Atma. And they quote Chandogya Upanishad, where they conveniently take the one occurrence and say that Asat is Shunya. The yukti they give for this is, in sleep, this complete blankness. And the anubhava for that they give is that after I wake up, I say I was not there in sleep. And again, the major problem here is that the personality is being mistaken as being the real I. And you're saying the personality was not there, therefore I was not there, therefore I'm non-existent. So again, we have covered through a lot. So I'm just giving a quick summary. So we talked about the Ati Prakrita, the Charvaka, body, Indriya, Prana, and mind, 4 Charvakas. The Vijnanavadin, who then took the Buddhi to be Atma. The Prabhakara Tarkika, who took ignorance to be Atma. The Bhattas, who took consciousness and ignorance as Atma. And the Shunyavadins, who took non-existence to be Atma. So these were all the Vishesha Adhyasa. Now, we can very quickly look at how Vedanta is able to dismiss all of this almost in one stroke. So we'll just look at the Vedantic refutation real quick. So the way we refute the Ati Prakrita, we give a stronger Shruti for Pratyak. The Yukti and the Anubhava are going to be consistent across all of them. So the Yukti is Jadam and Anityam, and the Anubhava is the Prabala Anubhava of a Jnani, or someone who knows the truth. Charvaka body is Atma, likewise is dismissed by the Shruti Asthula, and Yukti and Anubhava remain the same. Indriyas or Atma are dismissed by the Shruti Achakshuhu, and Yukti and Anubhava remain the same. Charvaka Prana as Atma is dismissed by Shruti Aprana, and Yukti and Anubhava remain the same. Charvaka mind is Atma is dismissed by Shruti Amana, and the Yukti and Anubhava remain the same. The Vijnanavadin who goes with Buddhi is Atma is dismissed by the Shruti Akarta, and the Yukti and Anubhava remain the same. The Prabhakara Tarkikas are dismissed by Shruti Chaitanyam, and the Yukti and Anubhava remain the same. The Bhatta is dismissed by the Shruti Chinmatram, Yukti Anubhava remain the same. And finally, the Shunyavadin is dismissed by the Shruti Sat, and the Yukti and Anubhava remain the same consistently. So this is how all of these 9 schools are dismissed by Vedanta. So that's what we had to present. Thank you very much.
That's nicely done. Any questions, clarifications, address them.
Hello.
Yeah, Rohit.
Yeah, sir, can you explain me the Srutis, like all the Srutis in the Vedanta which you mentioned with one word, Sat, Amana? Can you just briefly?
Yeah, see, there what is quoted is only the first. If you have this text,
Yeah.
If you have this text and go to the relevant sections, in the footnotes, you will get the whole Shruti with the translation. Vedanta Sara of Sadananda by Swami Nikhilananda.
Okay, sir.
I think an Advaita Ashrama publication. Yeah. Ramakrishna Mission. Okay.
Okay.
Because the author also in quotation, he just quotes that much. In the footnotes is elaborated. Yeah. Any other questions for them? Shoot. They summed up a whole section very nicely. Sashi, any clarifications required?
A lot of clarification, but not relating to the text.
Not related to the text. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Time hai. Time hai. Related to the text.
Hello.
Yeah, Rohit.
Yeah, I also, there's a small doubt that all of these, the philosophy of all of these mentioned, having different adhyasas, different.
Yeah.
So as we are understanding this from the point of view of Vedanta, why, like, don't they also come and see the arguments put up by Vedanta, and then, like,
Yeah.
a small doubt, like, how can
This comes from the modern academic viewpoint that what is the truth? Everything is truth. If the truth is out there, we have to accept all viewpoints. No, this is a very academic, very liberal, you scratch my back, I scratch your back attitude. Whereas in traditional Vedanta, we are committing our lives to it. It's not just a viewpoint or an intellectual exercise. Therefore, we thrash out matter to see what I can commit myself to. I'm not against anything. Everything has their place. Not for moksha. As an intellectual exercise, good. In fact, many of these schools were developed by Vedantins themselves to challenge the understanding of the students with respect to Vedanta. Like Kapila Muni, who invented Sankhya, is considered a great Vedanta. So to challenge your understanding, because your life is at stake. It's not an academic paper where you publish something, somebody else contradicts it, both of you get your publication certified in peer group reviewed, etc., etc. You make your career in that. Your own student can write a PhD contradicting what you have said. Here it is not like that. It's not an academic exercise. It's committing your life. Therefore, we have to be very, very clear about what it is.
Thank you so much.
No? Yeah. So that rigor is necessary. In fact, even in olden days, debates were like that. If I lose a debate with you, I'll become your student and learn. Or vice versa. So you put your money where your mouth was. Sorry, you put your life where your mouth was. Very different. It's not like a conference of academic conference today. In the tragedy is today, some people are having Vedanta conferences, which is tragic. When I have attended one of those, tragic. Any other questions, clarifications on what we are present? All clear? Now, if you look at what they said about Bhatta, you may have a doubt. Consciousness manifest in ignorance is the Atma. Isn't that what Vedanta also says?
Yes, Swamiji, I had that doubt.
Yes, we say consciousness is the Atma, and that is manifest in ignorance to make you a Jiva. That is the Vedanta standpoint. Whereas Bhatta is consciousness plus ignorance is the Atma. Okay. Ajnanam Shabalam Atma. Ajnanam Shabalam Chaitanyam is the Atma. Ignorance and consciousness together make the Atma. Whereas we say Atma is pure consciousness, manifest in the mind, it appears as Chidabhasa, Jiva, etc. Therefore, manifestation is an appearance. That's why it is Vijnanavadin and Tarkika schools, which are very popular with scientists, because they are studying the manifested consciousness. So they can have some common ground. Buddhists also. Whereas pure Vedanta is not that popular with the scientists, except now with some people who are involved in quantum physics, etc. Because the world view seems to match. Doesn't really match, but there are some commonalities. That's all. So no questions on the presentation. It's all clear for people. Okay, we will see how clear it is when we study Tarka, Sankhya, etc. Okay, okay. For greater clarity, we will get into all that. Okay. Yes, Sashi, you said you had a lot of questions. Now is the time to shoot.
Yeah, the one question, sir. Tat Tvamasi, we have been listening again and again. I am that. Is it the total consciousness or individual consciousness, or are they the same?
What do you think?
Actually, I think like this, both are okay. With the result. Every presentation is good.
If both are okay, then what is your problem?
See, problem is I have not got moksha then.
Okay. By the way, Tattvamasi meaning that you are, not I am that. Okay.
Yeah, that you are. Yes.
Number one. Number two, is there a difference between total consciousness and individual consciousness? Yeah, Paila, let us settle this. What is the difference between total consciousness and individual consciousness, if any?
I can see a tree. I can't see a forest.
Therefore, that is okay for tree and forest. You can't see consciousness, individual or total any.
No.
Vyashama Drishtanta. Example not valid.
Hmm.
So answer the question. What is the difference between individual and total consciousness?
Total consciousness is manifest everywhere. Whereas individual is in me. Shashi has to realize.
So are you talking about individual consciousness as consciousness manifest in one mind? Or are you talking about pure consciousness?
I am talking about consciousness in my mind.
Therefore, you're talking about the manifestation. You're not talking about pure consciousness. And the Mahavakya is concerned with removing the distance and putting it as one.
I see.
Mahavakya is meant to what? You have taken yourself to be the limited consciousness. And you put Ishvara consciousness manifest in the totality. So what does the Mahavakya do? Equate the two. And to understand the Mahavakya, what you have to do? Remove all the limiting ideas. When you remove all the limiting ideas, what happens? There is no individual and total consciousness. There is only one consciousness. There's only one consciousness. That is what you have to understand.
Okay.
Go back and listen to my unfolding of Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. It is there on YouTube. On the same channel, it is there.
Okay.
Go to this thing and see the unfoldment of Mahavakya Vichara. That is also there on YouTube. This will clarify it for you. You will find it in 3-4 cassettes, 3-4 videos for the whole topic. I think Mahavakya Vichara is some 6-7. But listen to that. I'll clarify things for you.
You had told us earlier, and I have been listening also, not to all, quite a few of them, but this doesn't stay with us.
It doesn't stay. Therefore, what is the answer to that?
This is Adhyasa.
And Pavana Punyana Shravanam Kuryat, again and again listen. Now, when you are listening in the beginning, you have to be very careful what you listen to and whom you listen to. As long as you are listening to a sampradaya with to a traditional teacher, whether he is from Arsha Parampara, Sringeri Parampara, Kanchi, or Natha Parampara, as long as they are traditional teachers of Vedanta, there is no problem. But you all do a lot of reading and discussions from all sorts of characters. I have cautioned you on this before.
Yeah, you have.
Therefore, confusion will be natural. Because without getting clarity, you are listening to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, including people whom I have dismissed in the class. And you are upset about it. But I did that with a purpose. Because I knew those viewpoints are not correct and people will get confused. And I would be failing in my job as a teacher if I didn't do that. But you're still listening to the whole thing and discussing. Naturally, you'll be confused. How can you not be confused?
Yeah.
Listen to Sampradayavits. It doesn't matter which tradition it is. But they should be traditional teachers, not people who are going on the net and downloading something and discussing it. I don't know who, I forget their name. There are a couple of boys from IIT who are presenting as though they are gurus because they downloaded stuff from the net. Idiots. Not studied. And they have some following. YouTube, I know. Everyone gets a following.
Everyone gets.
Following doesn't show anything. Like Churchill was asked once, sir, there were 10,000 people listening to you. Isn't that a great achievement? He said, yeah, I know. That 10,000 people came to listen to me. But if I was going to be hanged there in public, the number would have been 10 times as much. Therefore, popularity doesn't mean anything. Yeah. So that is what the problem is. Listen to all sorts of contradictory ideas before you are ready to listen. I'm not saying don't listen to others. Once you are rooted in Vedanta, you can listen to everyone and anyone. Now I'm going to deliberately teach texts which are challenging the idea of Vedanta. Why? Because your clarity will be better.
Yes, sir.
But clarity pehle se nahi hai because right from the beginning you started looking at other things. In spite of my cautioning. So go back and listen again and again. That's the only answer.
Okay.
Now I am going to start another class. I'm going to start is an Upanishadic class, which will be predominantly online. Because I have different students in different places in Bombay, all ready for the Upanishads. So I'm going to keep one central place, probably Matanga, because the students are from Chambur, Matanga, and South Bombay. Okay. The Chambur, Matanga, South Bombay, what will be central Matanga? But that I will give people the permission to attend purely online. I have to figure out the date, etc. Because I have to finish the Gita Bhashyam that I'm doing in Matanga. So once I finish that, I will do that. So those who want to listen to that online again, because that I'm not insisting like how the Bandra class, I'm insisting people come offline.
Yes.
For that class, I'm not insisting that. I'm encouraging people to attend offline, but I'm not insisting on it. So listen to that if you want to.
Okay.
To get greater clarity. It's like working on basics and fundamentals again. In every discipline, this is done. Every discipline. Like in our Tai Chi this thing session, martial Qigong session, 2 years also online. So now when we have started offline, 6 months we are kept for revising, reviewing all the things that we did in 2 years. Why? Because it takes that. Go back to fundamentals, make work on clarity on this. So that's perfectly okay. In every discipline, this is done. Only then the knowledge becomes yours. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yeah, Kiran.
Swamiji, Ajnanam, two standpoints, Vyashti and Samashti. Why it has been given, I mean, in the conclusion of that particular two standpoint?
Two standpoints for Ajnanam are necessary because Ajnanam at the individual level is very easy to understand. I have experience. Correct? I don't know myself. I don't know so many things in the world. And when I use a pramana, I can get to know all this. So individual level is very simple, straightforward. The problem comes when you put, what is, if there is individual ignorance, there has to be total ignorance. Individual body, total creation. Individual mind, total mind. Individual energy systems, total energy system of prana. Therefore, going by that, there has to be total ignorance as well. But the problem is total ignorance has to belong to Ishvara. Can't belong anywhere. Total creation is Ishvara's body. Total prana is Ishvara's prana shakti, creative powers. So there has to be something called total ignorance. Now, total ignorance cannot become more ignorant because Ishvara is also the source of knowledge. Therefore, instead of calling it really total ignorance, we call it Maya Shakti. Whereas God both, when it is that Maya Shakti, when it is manifest at the individual level, it becomes ignorance. When it is manifest at the total level, it becomes all knowledge. Then what about the ignorance aspect, the tamas aspect? Tamas aspects become matter. Matter and inertia will become tamas. Rajas will become prana, activity, everything, creativity, everything. And sattva will become all knowledge. Are you getting that? So the ignorance part becomes tamas, matter, at the totality level. Yeah, Sashi, you are having a doubt, but you're hesitating to ask.
No, this total and individual, Ajnanam, that is also total and individual. Even though you have explained.
Sashi, listen to one thing. Understand the simple logic. Can you say one flat is there, the whole building is not there? You're staying in a flat in a building, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you say only your flat is there, the whole building is not
there? No.
So this individual total always is there in everything. Your road is there in Bandra. You mean to say no other road is there? Other roads are also there, right?
Yes, sir.
The individual total. You see, at any level it is there. What are you getting confused about individual and total? Can you say only one cell is there, other cells are not there?
But that is at manifestation level, isn't it?
That is at what level?
Manifested consciousness.
So I didn't get that word.
So that is at creation level.
Correct. So when you're talking of individual and total, what level are we talking about?
Creation level.
Correct. Then we have to do apavada of the creation.
Yeah.
Then, so Tattvamasi is apavada of the creation. In understanding Tattvamasi, you're doing apavada. What else you are doing? Total apavada happens with Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. Getting it now?
Getting clearer.
Okay.
Not getting it completely.
Completely. That's okay. Think about it.
Hmm.
Stop categorizing too much. Okay. Again.
Okay.
Yeah. Any
Hello.
other questions?
Yes, Swamiji.
Yeah, Rohit. Bolo.
You mentioned that before you mentioned that you gave some advice like whom to hear, because as you already mentioned, we are doing apadgyanam, like general.
Sorry.
As of now, as you mentioned earlier, we are doing. I am doing general reading. So apadgyanam, as you mentioned.
Apatagyanam. Yeah.
So you mentioned before that, but I didn't hear like whom not to hear, because the thing is, if I hear they are contradictory statements and then I don't have clarity as of now, then
Yes. That's why I said always when you're reading anything, see, Vedanta Jnanam will happen only if you learn from a Sampradaya. Now, the problem when you're starting off is who's the Sampradaya? Okay. Even wearing the saffron robes is no guarantee that he'll be a Sampradaya. Because I know many people who wear the saffron robes who have talked about Vedanta being scientific, which is total ignorance. So, how do you know? You don't. You have to struggle and find your way. You know, even Shankara and Vivekachudamani says, Durlabam Trayame Vetas. These three things are very difficult to get. Deva Anugraha Hetukam. They come only with God's grace. What is that? Manushatvam, a human body. Mumukshatvam, the desire for moksha. Mahapurusha Samashraya. Mahapurusha accepting you as a student. So how do you know the guy who is teaching me is a Mahapurusha or is an idiot? I don't know. I don't know enough to evaluate. I don't know enough to evaluate. So you always have to struggle a bit. We all went through that struggle. Okay. Yeah.
So
when you listen to someone for the first time, you may think he's a great person. Later on, you may discover he's an idiot. Yeah. How do you know? You never know.
Yeah.
You never know for sure. Certain things to see is there a parampara? Has he studied under a teacher, traditional teacher? Has his students matured out to become a teacher, etc.? Then you know, okay, there is some sort of. But there can be an ajnana parampara also. You know? But some sort of thing is there. At least there is some system at work. Another thing is, does he say Vedanta is here and now? Moksha is here and now, not later. Moksha is gained on elimination of knowledge, not a strange experience in meditation. These are 2-3 things to keep in mind whether you're reading or hearing. If someone says it's an experience, you know it's shaky. Okay? Because it's a cognitive thing. You have to see, because ignorance is the issue. If ignorance is the issue, knowledge is the answer, not experience. All experience involves a level of ignorance. Therefore, these are the few things to keep in mind when you read someone or hear someone. So hopefully that will guide you. So keep these things in mind when you listen to me as well, or anyone. Okay? Yeah. You know, there is a Shraddha and there is a healthy skepticism whether the person is right or wrong. It's a mixture. In the beginning, you need that. You need some evaluations. And in the beginning, this much you can do. Later on, you can do more, but this much you'll be able to. Be careful of those people who present it as scientific. They have different branches of knowledge. Science is based on the 5 pramanas that you have. Vedanta is based on the Shabda pramana. Therefore, different subject matter. So, these type of things you can keep in mind. At the same time, when he's saying scientific, check whether he means logical or scientific. Because sometimes people use the word indiscriminate. Not all Vedanta teachers were students of science before. Therefore, sometimes they may use that word loosely out of them not understanding what science is. Like I know a very popular teacher, he does some great work. Soil conservation, this, that, renewing, beautiful work. But he calls everything a science. Because he doesn't have a clue what, he doesn't really know what science is. In terms of what technically science means. He is never a student of science. Just school level, that's all he had. Which very often he wouldn't attend. He would go on his motorcycle rides. So, yeah, a bit of a rebellious guy, but he does good work. So I respect him for that work he does. So that's the only way you can make out. You have to struggle a bit. A struggle makes you. And that's why Vedanta is always presented along with Ishvara. Invoke Ishvara's grace. Prayer, etc. Invoke Ishvara's grace. So the right things come to you. That's very important.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions, clarifications?
Swamiji, in the model of creation that was presented here, it seems to suggest that inert or insentient matter preceded sentient beings, right? Like, because you start with Akasha, Vayu, Prithvi, and then come to the mind.
Good question. Good question. Actually, it starts with consciousness. Sadeva Saumidam Kramas. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. It starts with that. Then it starts after that Maya Shakti. Not stated, understood. Some places stated, some places understood. Okay. Then it talks about the Tan Matras. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa. Why? Because in the Vedanta model, mind is also matter. The difference between mind and body is only whether the matter is subtle or gross. So in subtle matter, consciousness manifests more. That's why when you talk of Tanmatras, you talk of space, you will also talk about Devatas. Drik Devata. Why? It's conscious manifest. No? Conscious manifest in space. Vayu Devata, Agni Devata. Can you see that? Because all consciousness is manifest. Then from the Tanmatras, subtle aspect, mind, etc. is born. Total sattvic aspect of all the 5 Tanmatras. It's a paradigm used again. So that there also consciousness can be manifest. In the Rajasic aspect, prana is born. Why? Rajas is manifest, activity is manifest. Then what is left behind? Only tamasic aspect. That tamas has to go further grossification. Tamas has to be grossified further to make matter. Therefore, there are 2 levels of Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Prithvi. Tanmatra level, gross level. So what you see in terms of Akasha, Vayu, Agni is the grossified level, not the Tanmatra level. Therefore, true, my mind is made up of matter. Subtle matter. Tattvic aspect of the 5 Tanmatras. Because it has to establish everything as matter. Now look at that creation. It is trying to establish everything as matter, correct? And explain away the material creation. But what is it saying? Everything is manifestation, manifestation, manifestation. If the manifestation is mithya, the reality is satyam jnanam anantam alone. That's why if you look at the Panchakoshas presented in Taittiriya, for example, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yo Ved Nihitam Guhaya So Ashnute Sarvan Kaman Saha. Brahmana vipaschiteti, over. Truth is revealed, everything is done. The adhikaris know, correct, clear, everything. The others are thinking, but what about all this world I see? Therefore, he starts. Tasmad etasmad atmanaha akasha sammuta akasha. The whole thing he starts. There he doesn't bother about panchikaranam, etc. because that later scholars have added. Then he says, Prithvi, from Prithvi annam, from Prithvi oshadya, from oshadya annam, anna sava esha purusha anna rasamaya. One level of adhyasa. Then the limitation of that adhyasa is seen. It doesn't bother to do. Anyontra pranamaya. There's another Atma which seems to be within but which fills up the body. That's important, fills up the body. How big is your prana? Minimum as much as the body. Actually more. Then it shows the limitations of the prana by giving you an imagery of a bird. And what is the most important? The prana itself, Brahma Pucham, Pranam Pucham Pratishta. There's a stabilizing factor. Then Anyantaratma Manomaya, same thing again. Anyantaratma Vijnanamaya, same thing again. Anyantaratma Anandamaya. Priya Moda, all that he talks about. Then the beautiful thing there is, he does not say Anyantaratma Chaitanya Surupa, he does not say it. Very important. Very important. I've seen this being misunderstood by many Vedanta teachers also. I listened to a very popular international teacher. Much more popular than I am. But he has a great regard for me because he has heard some of my beliefs. A great regard for me also. I was surprised that such a popular teacher came and touched my feet when I met him in UK. But I said, hey, you are another sannyasi. You don't have to do this. And I held his hands. There's no Swamiji, I gained a lot from your videos. I said, wow. But even this guy, he says, after here, after Anandamaya Kosha, the Upanishad is eloquent in its silence. You have to go back to the another Upanishad called Kathopanishad. And it says, the sense organs are turned outside, therefore they don't see the truth. Kaschid dhiraha avrutta chakshuhu. Some wise person who has learned to look within will see the Atma. I said sheer bluff. Why? The Upanishad is not silent after saying Anandamaya Kosha. The Upanishad is very eloquent there by saying Brahma Pucham Pratishta. Brahman is the basis for the whole Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha fills up Vijnanam, fills up Manam. Therefore, the consciousness fills up everything. It says there, Brahma Pucham Pratishta. Brahman is the basis for the whole. Very eloquent, but missed because people are expecting in their minds the sequence of one more. That is your problem. That's not the Upanishadic problem. Upanishad is very eloquent. Now, Rohit, can you understand why you need a sampradaya with here? To take that one line and explain the whole. Brahma Pucham Pratishta. Brahman is the basis for everything. Therefore, you started with Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. You came through Akasha, Vayu, Agni, body, mind, etc., back to Brahman. Therefore, the whole thing becomes manifestation, not real. What is there is nothing but Brahman. Brahmaneva Satyam. Everything else Asatyam. Everything else manifestations. Everything else Mithya. Everything else Nama Rupa. Everything else experiential. Upanishad is beautiful. That paradigm is also very beautiful. And the whole thing is one key sentence there. Brahma Pucham Pratishta. You miss that, you miss everything. That's why I always say, you have to be very careful listening to Vedanta. It's not like listening to Ramayana. When you're listening to Ramayana, you doze off a minute, you get up. Rama is still in the forest. Because Aranya Khanda takes a big khanda, he's still in the forest. You miss a sentence here, you will be in the forest. Yeah, not Rama. It's true. I mean, that guy is a very sincere man, that teacher who's teaching. But he missed that sentence. And then the whole thing becomes something else. I hope somewhere he stumbles upon my Satyajnana Manantam, the Taittiriya Upanishad. I don't think I put up the whole Taittiriya Upanishad tapes. It started after that only. So maybe next round of Upanishad I'll do all the Upanishads also, I'll put it up. Yeah. Almost 12:30. Any other questions?
Swamiji, I have a question for Nisha. Is she there?
Yeah, Nisha is here very much.
Yeah, where is she? I can't see her.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, Nisha, do you remember me? I'm Satish Bhai here.
Oh, yeah, I remember you very well, Satish Bhai.
I heard your presentation. Great going. Congratulations and all the best. This was the question.
Thanks.
This was the question.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Satish Bhai.
Yeah. Okay.
So good place to stop. So next Sunday, no class. We are having that next Sunday. Yeah. Today is 29th. Next Sunday is 5th. We are having that volunteers meeting. For those people who are willing to do some work and who are out of town, we'll have a Zoom meeting sometime later with all of you. This is regarding ashram, the Center for Future Teachers coming up near Bombay. So this one. So next Sunday will be that. It will be at the same venue where we are having the Bandra class. I think it has been put up in all the groups. Now everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
We'll have that. And the Sunday after that, which is 12th, we'll have the offline class.
And so, Swamiji, there is going to be a separate Zoom meeting, right, with respect to the ashram.
Yeah. I will have a Zoom meeting with that also.
Okay.
I have to discuss with Suresh and everyone, see when to do that. We'll do that.
Okay.
Swamiji, the class on 12th June is at 11:30, isn't it?
10 o'clock. No, 11:30. I'm starting a new Gita class there, which will be at 10. 10 to 11 will be the new Gita class. And our class instead of 11 will be 11:30. So that there is no overlap, people coming, going, etc. 11:30. But anyone who's sitting for both the class wants to have a cup of tea in between or something like that. I'm sure there'll be some chaiwala around. That I'll find on next Sunday itself. I'll find out. But probably before me, Kavita also will find it. Kavita is helping me with all that stuff.
There are lots of places because it's almost on the main road and close to the station. So there are restaurants, there's lots of places to eat food.
Okay.
So no problem.
So maybe when we are having the volunteer meet, we can serve a cup of tea also.
Swamiji, for the volunteer meet, do we have to inform somebody who all are coming?
Beg your pardon?
For the volunteer
No, you can just land up there. Those who want to give a name or something like that can give Sunita a call.
Okay.
Bharat bhai, we are looking forward to you.
I'm coming, Swamiji.
Yeah, you are one of our mainstays.
I'm coming with Jagdish and Nandu, both of us, all three of us.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We'll
Let's
try
take
to
this
do
thing forward and get it done.
Yeah, we'll try to do what best we can.
Done.
Yeah. Ashram is for all of us.
Yeah, all the best. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
So the class I will see after one Sunday gap.
Yeah.
You can have a break, enjoy yourself, whatever. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So take care. The day is still young.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
People in
Thank you.
UK are just about woken up. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Swamiji.
Okay. Take care. All the best.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you all. Take care.
Pranam, Swamiji.